Hello and welcome to We Just Quote in the podcast, but we do more than just quote. This is We Just Quote Wednesday, and today I'll be talking about motivation. Ways that I stay motivated, ways that you guys can stay motivated. I'll also talk about my favourite quote and introduce and talk about this week's quote of the week, which will be revealed in the podcast. Stay at the end to get a clue about what next week's podcast will be about. Make sure you subscribe, hit that notification bell so you know exactly when a new podcast comes out, and tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend to tell another friend. What are you waiting for? And let's get into it. I'm going to start today's podcast with favourite quotes. My favourite quote is "Hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard" by Tom Notkill. Forgive me, Tom Notke. We'll be exploring this a bit later on, but for now I wanted to share with all of you some of the favourite quotes other people have. I asked some people what their favourite quote was, and here are some of the responses. My favourite quote is "All that glitters is not gold" by William Shakespeare. My favourite quote is "He is more myself than I am. Whatever our souls are made of, his and mine are the same" by Emily Brontë. My favourite quote is "You have bewitched my body and soul, and I love you" by Jane Austen. My favourite quote is "The longer you live, the more you realise that reality is just made of pain, suffering and emptiness" by Madhara Uchula. Forgive me if I said that name wrong. My favourite quote is "To be kind for everyone you meet is fighting a hard battle" by Plato. My favourite quote is "Don't cry because it's over, smile because it happened" by Dr. Seuss. My favourite quote is "Learn the rules like a pro so you can break them like an artist" by Pablo Picasso. My favourite quote is "Those who don't believe in magic will never find it" by Roald Dahl. My favourite quote is "Don't do unto others what you wouldn't do to yourself" Luke chapter 6 verse 31. My favourite quote is "What comes easy won't always last, and what will last won't always come easy" by Nitisi Kalani. Again, forgive me if I said that name wrong. My favourite quote is "I'm going to make him an offer he cannot refuse" from The Godfather. My favourite quote is "When you want to succeed as badly as you want to breathe, then you'll succeed" by Eric Thomas. My favourite quote is "Try to be a rainbow in someone else's cloud" by Maya Angelou. My favourite quote is "A beautiful day begins with a beautiful mindset" by John Geiger. My favourite quote is "When you have something to say, silence is a lie." My favourite quote is "Don't compare yourself with others, compare yourself with who you were yesterday." My favourite quote is "Don't sleep when you are tired, sleep when you are done." My favourite quote is "Money is the answer, but not the key." My favourite quote is "Never let success get to your head. Never let failure get to your heart." My favourite quote is "Winners are not people who never fail, but people who never quit." My favourite quote is "Beauty lies in the eyes of the beholder" by Plato. My favourite quote is My philosophy is that worrying means you suffer twice. By Eddie Redmayne. My favourite quote is, "It's not how much we lost, it's how much we have left." By Tony Stark, played by Robert Downey Jr. My favourite quote is, "Hardest choices require the strongest wills." By Thanos, played by Josh Brolin. My favourite quote is, "Faith is my sword, truth is my shield, knowledge is my armour." By Stephen Strange, played by Benedict Cumberbatch. My favourite quote is, "If life were predictable, it would cease to be life and be without flavour." By Eleanor Roosevelt. My favourite quote is, "If you set your goals ridiculously high and it's a failure, you will fail above everyone else's success." By James Cameron. My favourite quote is, "If you look at what you have in life, you will always have more. If you look at what you don't have in life, you will never have enough." By Oprah Winfrey. My favourite quote is, "Everybody is a genius, but if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it will live its whole life believing that it is stupid." By Albert Einstein. My favourite quote is, "It's not about where you have been, it's about where you are heading." My favourite quote is, "Goodbye to the people who loved me, goodbye to the people who trusted me, goodbye, goodbye, everybody." By Danny, spelt D4NNY. My favourite quote is, "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans for good and not for evil, to give you a hope and a future." Jeremiah chapter 29, verse 11. My favourite quote is, "So I can do everything through Christ who strengthens me." Philippians chapter 4, verse 13. My favourite quote is that life, to grow and become more. You plant a seed and it grows into something beautiful and it never dies. Really? I think people should be that way. By Michael Jackson. I want to thank you all. Thank all those people who submitted in their favourite quotes. It is very much appreciated by me. The question is, why have I done this? Why have I listed a bunch of quotes that many individuals, favouritize? I wanted to do this because I thought, if I'm going to talk about my favourite quote, I may as well mention some of yours. If you cast your mind to the beginning of the podcast where I said, my favourite quote is "Hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard," by Tom Notke, which we'll be exploring later. Well, we're going to be exploring it now. Hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. Well, let me tell you a little about Tim Notke. Excuse me. Well, to be honest, there was nothing much to be found on Tim Notke other than this quote. From the various sources I consulted, all I can find was that Notke was a basketball coach. It seemed that he may have said these words of wisdom to his players in order to motivate them. Well, there's not much on this guy, and the information that I just read out to you was said by a blogger called Hazen Chop, and I found what Hazen Chop said on Quora. One thing for sure that we know is that Tim Notke was a basketball coach. I like to know why people think the way they do and say the things they say, especially when it comes to quotes. Quotes can be created through experiences, through your life experiences, or through someone else's life experiences, or just a thought in your mind. Quotes can be created in different ways. And we know that Tim Notke, as I have already said, is a basketball coach. And touching on what the blogger Hazen Chop said, Tim Notke may have used the quote, "Hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard," that I favouritize so much to motivate his team. I cannot speak on behalf of his team, but I can speak on behalf of me. And on behalf of me, I say that, in fact, it does motivate me, which is one of the reasons why I favouritize this quote. I look at my own life, my own talents, my own gifts, and in the past I have always wondered why I was never achieving so much in a particular area. I have a friend, which I used to refer to a lot as one of the naturals, and he was and still is smart, like super duper smart. One of the smartest guys I know that is my age, and I'm grateful to call him my friend and to know him. And I haven't called him like a natural for years. Like I did it a couple of years ago and I don't really use it anymore. But essentially to me it looked like he didn't have to work hard to kind of get the top grades, when there was me who tried really, really, really hard. And it was like my best was not even him trying. Before I continue, I'm not trying to compare myself against him. I have to admit in the past I did. Now I don't. Because the only person you can worry about, the only person you control, and the only person you essentially should compete with is you. You could argue that, in life there's a sense of competition. In some aspects you're competing for a role to win. You're competing for a job interview. You're competing for this, you're competing for that, etc., etc., etc. But you cannot control other people. And so what I'm saying is, don't compete with them. You ever heard the saying, you are only as good as your last performance? Well, any Dance Mom fans out there would know that Abby Lee Miller, who is an American dance instructor, choreographer, and reality television personality, who is the founder of Abby Lee's dance company, which appeared on the reality television series Dance Moms for 8 years. The fans would know that one of her one-liners is, "You are only as good as your last dance." And that was her one-liner. Don't rest on your morals. You got 100% on the test, break. Maintain it. Get 100% next time. Don't rest on your morals. You're only as good as your last test. Better yourself. You got 99%? Well done, that's great. But better yourself and get 100% next time. Push yourself to be the best you that you can be. Be better than last year. Be better than your last year self. Be better than your last month self. Be better than your last week self. Be better than yesterday's self. Always better yourself and don't let your guard down, and don't rest on your morals. Don't celebrate too early either. We've all seen and heard stories of people who have celebrated a bit too early. An example is Lindsay Jacobells. Lindsay Jacobells thought she had the gold medal all wrapped up with a nice little Olympic bow on top. Fortunately, she had just enough time to pop a little trick before collecting her glory. As we now know, this is not how things would end in 2006. It's not even like the small twerk of the board would have added to what really is an amazing honour anyway. There isn't anything you can do to make a gold medal cooler, so finish the race and worry about victory laps later. Another example is Megan Rutledge. Megan Rutledge presumably never saw footage of Lindsay Jacobel's border because the motocross racer essentially did the same thing, popping a little trick before competing what really should have been a job well done. She would speak to ESPN about her 2013 X Games Miss Cure. I was out there leading. I'm really young. I'd never led an X Games before. I celebrated a bit too early and made a mistake, unfortunately which gave Vicky Golden an opening to take first again. It's a hard loss to take, but a great reminder to act like you've been there before. It just may save you from an altogether brutal loss. Another example is an over-eager cyclist. No hands, no problem, unless you're an unfortunate cyclist in this situation that I'm talking about. There's a time in everyone's life when riding a bike, they attempt to do so by taking their hands off the handlebars, hoping that they can brag a little bit that they're a daredevil. I would highly suggest not doing so during a competitive race, though as this guy found out by trying to boast about a certain victory only to lose control and crash, costing him the win. I think you get the picture. But anyway, what I was trying to say was, before, the tangent about comparing yourself, is that I tried really hard. He was always ahead of me. My best was him not trying. He was super talented and I was not. And I'm talking intellectually. Am I smart? I would like to think so. I'm naturally smart? No, but I do work hard. And hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. My friend was talented, still is, but didn't work hard. I worked hard and was not talented. I worked and pushed myself to be the best I could be. And I'm here today knowing that I have come a long way from it. I'm here today knowing that I have come a long way from where I started because I worked hard. We did the test in chemistry and he was achieving 3 times the score that I was getting. Around 2 to 3 years later, we did another test. There were many tests in between that period, but we did another test and he actually beat me by just half a mark. We got the same grade, he just beat me by half a mark. I went from him beating me a mile to me finally so closely beating him on that chemistry test. Hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. The test after that, and after that, and after that, he really did start putting the work in so that I wouldn't catch up. And I bettered myself. I came a long way. It took a few years, but I got there in the end. But the road is still long. To get to my end goal, I need to better and bet myself. And I need to work really, really hard. I realised that I need to work 10 times harder just to be on the level of my friend. And even harder to get to where I want to be. But you know what, over time I embraced it and I was okay with it because you know what, there's always someone smarter. There's always someone better. You may feel like it comes easy for one and doesn't come easy for you, but you have to remember that hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. And you've just got to work hard, You just got to keep on pushing and pushing and pushing to be the best that you can be. I want to talk about motivation. I said that it may be said that Tim Notke may have used this quote to motivate his team. I've been asked a lot in the past about how I stay motivated, how I'm motivated to do things and how I stay motivated. And you know what? My motivation comes from my end goal. I have a goal which I want to achieve in my life. To get there, I need to work hard, really, really hard. To get there, I need to bet myself. To achieve my main goal, I need to achieve my mini goals first. To achieve the super objective, I must complete my objectives, which will allow me to complete my super objective. A way of motivation is to have goals. A goal to where you want to be, what you want to do, what you want to have achieved, whether it's in 10 years, and then a mini goal of 5 years, then a month, and then a week, and then for today. You can create goals however you want to. But for me, my big goal is what motivates me. That I have this vision, that I have this drive, that I have this place that I want to be in my life, and I know that I need to push and I need to work and I need to get there. I need to do all these mini things to get there. And it could motivate you and it may not, you know. Just because it works for me doesn't mean it'll work for you. Another source of motivation could be family or friends. And /or actually. Anyone who supports and loves you. From that, you can be motivated to do it for them, or either their support fuels and motivates you. It drives you. Referring back to the end goals, it could be a dream. Remember, if anyone tells you dreams don't come true, tell them they are lying. Dreams work if you do. That was last week's quote of the week, and before I talk about this week's quote of the week, I want to emphasize the idea of staying motivated. You got a dream, you got a vision, something that drives you. Use that. That is your motivation, because you are working and working and working to get to that end goal. Dreams work if you do. But I want you to know and remember that we are not machines. As much as at times I wish I could work 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, I can't, because I'm human, and so are you. And sometimes we're lazy, and sometimes we're tired, and sometimes we don't feel like doing anything. Sometimes you just want to lay in your bed. That's what Bruno Mars said. Don't feel like picking up the phone, so leave a message at the tone. Sometimes it's like that. But at the end of the day, when you got your end goal, when you have this passion and you have this dream and it drives you so much, you fight for it and you go and achieve it. The dream, the vision, that's the thing that drives you. So find what drives you. Find what drives you, what motivates you. It could be a quote by anyone. It could be an influencer or celebrity, someone you look up to. It could be someone closer to home that you look up to. Whatever it is, whoever it is, you know the reason why it motivates you. And if it works for you, then that's good enough. This week's quote of the week is, life is full of what ifs and if onlys. Life is full of what ifs and if onlys. What do I mean? Well, do you ever do something, say something, or an event or moment passes and you wonder to yourself, what if? Or something didn't happen and you wonder, what if it did? Sometimes you wish something would happen, or you wish something that was not there, that is there, to go away, and you wonder, if only. Well, life is full of them, and we can't get hung up on them. If only you were mine. If only I could. If only you would listen. If only you knew. If. This word if. This word if really interests me. If is a conjunction on the condition of superposition that in the event that. That's what if is essentially. We'll never know if an event does not happen, and we will never know if something would be different if that event occurred again. The point is, it's gone, it's over, or it will happen, but we cannot see the future, and we cannot go back to the past. We'll never know. So why get caught up in what ifs and if onlys, which life has a lot of? But get a hold of now, because if you focus too far into the future, you'll miss out on the present and what is now. What if only? We'll never know, so why get hung up over it? Don't get bummed down by what could have been, but enjoy what is now. Life is full of what if and if only. Don't let them get you down. Thank you for listening. This has been We Just Quote in the podcast. We Just Quote Wednesday. Make sure you give a like, you subscribe, you turn on the notification bells and do all that good stuff. Look out for many podcasts between We Just Quote Wednesdays and stay tuned for next week's We Just Quote Wednesday. If you haven't seen last week's We Just Quote Wednesday, go down to the description because there'll be a link there. And if you want to check out any mini podcasts that are available and out right now, there'll be a link down there as well. If you have any quotes, questions or topic ideas, email them to wejustquoting@gmail.com. Link will be in the description. I just want to say thank you again for listening, and bye-bye for now. Some people are really, really happy to see you on the ground.